Everyone, welcome to the Dad Level Podcast, episode 23. This week, we're just going to catch up, see how things are going, and talk about movies that are coming out and what we're hyped for and what we've been playing and just catching up. All right. So, how's everybody doing?
Good.
Getting by.
How was y'all's Thanksgiving?
Uneventful.
Yeah, it was all right.
It was not very restful. Turkey Day was at my house this year. So my wife turns into Lady Macbeth whenever there's people coming over, right? Nothing can be clean. So Wednesday got home and it just turned into, all right, we got to clean this and mop that, sweep this, and on and on and on. And then after you dust is everywhere again. So you got to do it all again. Everybody came by, had a good time, hung out with the family, got to see all the, new kiddos. And then that weekend we camped out at Renaissance Festival, and it was cold and wet and rainy and all that good stuff. And, camping's fun, but the part of camping that's fun is not the setting up and not the tearing down, which is how you start and how you end, unfortunately. And then, the whole drive home. So other than just not getting a whole lot of sleep, all of it was good, man. Having fun out there at Renfest, getting to see all the crazy people. The funny thing was, my son got some extra use out of his Halloween costume. He was dressed up as basically like kind of he looks sort of like a Grim Reaper type character, and we gave him some those arm crutches to extend out his arms so he could do some weird kind of crawly walking type of stuff. And I'll give him this: he stayed in character the entire time we were out there. And what he would do is he kept trying to scare like kids and things, right? But when that wasn't working out, he would turn around and he started going after his prime target was basically teen and young women. He would basically start walking along, and the second he would notice one sort of like duck her face away like she was scared, that was his sign to just go, and they would freak out and duck behind their friends and all that. He got a couple of them to help him, help them scare some of their friends, and he was just eating it up and having a good old time with it.
I'm gonna make a joke that's not gonna go in the episode at all. But did you get any numbers?
So that was the funniest thing about it was, like, originally he was just trying to scare people, right? And then he ran into a couple drunk groups, and one of them, like, he went to go scare them and they got scared for a second, and then the drunk guy like walks over, he's like, "Hey man, can I give you a hug?" And my son like turns around and looks back at me, and I'm like, "Sure." And so the guy hugs him. So for the rest of the day, that was his ploy. It was, okay, I'm gonna go to scare him, I'm gonna hold out my arms like, "Hey, you want to come give me a hug?" All right, I'm gonna give you a hug. And then went about it. The best part about it was probably the drunkest guy that we saw all day. We were exiting out to the entrance of the festival, and as we're going along, man, again, he held that he was in character the entire time we were there. He's doing his little crawl walk, right, and we're going past this dude who's just, I don't know how he was standing, but as my son started going past him, the guy looked back again, like leaned forward a little bit, started mimicking him for a second. And then he was like, dude, hold on. And he turned and looked at me and my wife. He's like, "Can I?" I'm like, "Why does everybody need to hug my son out here?" But yeah, sure, dude, whatever. And he goes in, but it was that awkward, like too long drunk hug, He like leaned in and kind of,
"It's gonna be okay, man."
And then backed off. He's like, "Man, seriously, best costume of the night, man." Yeah. And turned around, walked into the shop. It was surreal moments, man. Renaissance Festival, it's good times.
You should have recorded that, man. I'm telling you, missed opportunities.
Yeah.
It really was. I felt bad because then naturally, whenever he got back, he was trying to tell all his friends at school, "Man, I got hugged by like 20 ladies out at Renaissance Festival or over the holiday," and all his friends were like, "Dude, your family doesn't count." And he's like, no, it was. And so one of the cardinal rules of the internet, Pixar didn't happen, right?
Yeah, no pictures, didn't happen. Unless you're wanting to take someone down. Anyway, yeah, it was okay for us. We went up to my dad's. we watched. Well, okay, so we went up. We went to my sister's for the night, or no, we stayed at my dad's that night. Then Thanksgiving went over to my sister's. We went over to Brock's family's house, had Thanksgiving there, and it was good. But it was hilarious because Anna's, and I apologize if Brock's mom watches this, I apologize, but it's just Anna's like, I went to go get my food, and it's like, don't get the stuffing, it's really bad. It's not my dad, it's not your dad's. I'm like, that's so wrong. But okay.
Shots fired.
It was we had a really good time. We went to back to Embers, and then we played Cards Against Humanity once we came back, and then it headed back to my dad's. We ate on Sunday for our Thanksgiving, and then that's of course when my dad decided to get sick and hit his head, and it was a very scary time on Sunday. But
he just keeps taking a licking.
I know. Love you, Dad.
Wow.
But no, it was good. I was just glad to be not sick, because I was sick for like a week and a half just because of all the weather changing and everything we had here. Coughs and no fever or anything.
It's that time of year, man.
Yeah, it is.
Everybody's coming down with something, a little bitty colds. And it doesn't help the fact that we'll be, tomorrow's going to be 60. And then like 3 days later, it'll be back up to 83. And it'll drop to 60 again like 2 days later. And then it just.
Yeah. So our trees.
Until January, February time, we're just in that horrid season of, God, why is it hot? And then, Jesus, where's my jacket?
Yeah, I walk outside because it was cold, that night, and I come outside, it's 80 degrees, and there's pollen on my car because the trees think it's spring again. That was the one thing I was going to talk about. So we watched 8-Bit Christmas. Me and my dad. And it's a great movie. I enjoyed it very much. But there's things in that movie, because he's all like, oh, it takes place. He's like trying to actually pinpoint the year it takes place. And then he's like, it's the late 80s. And it's kind of cool, the little gimmicks they do in the movie, but of like the visual effects. And but there's this one scene where this one kid gets a power glove, and all the neighborhood kids like just come to his house, and they're like, all right, so what kind of offering are you going to give me so I can let you come inside to play my stuff? And kids always like show up all these toys and everything, right? Well, there's toys that came out in the 2000s in this scene. There's Optimus from Beast Wars, when they did the whole thing where just after the Transmetal part in the scene. And then there was also one from like Transformers Cybertron. There's an Optimus Prime from that. There was a couple other things, but those are the two that just stood out. I'm like, this is 89, right? So like you're thinking like there's Batman toys, because this is Christmas 89. So Batman's already came out. There's Batman toys. Why aren't kids holding up Batman toys to offer this guy or this kid? What about like G.I. Joe or some of the other toys that were around then? No, it's like the things that are like, oh, these are 80s stuff, but they're not like things that would have came out at that time. And there was also the scene where he's at a mall and stuff, and they got this Nintendo display. It's like, well, this is when the Genesis was out. Where's the Sega Genesis display? Why does this kid want a Nintendo when he can have a Genesis? Sorry.
Licensing.
Yeah, true. But it was a good movie. All around, it was a good movie. It's worth a watch.
So here, my brother and his wife came by because we try to have an every now and then movie night, and we're trying to figure out something to watch. We wound up watching Bubba Hotep because it was still close enough to Halloween, but not quite far enough away. And my brother refused to watch any kind of holiday movie because I've got Fat Man with Boyd Crowder from Justified and Mel Gibson that I haven't watched. I need to watch that. And then I think it's this week the R-rated version of Krampus comes out, so probably be getting into that at some point in the next,
I've been wanting to watch that too.
I mean, Krampus is good as it is, but so I'm kind of curious where the R rating is going to come in, like what all is going to get added. So yeah, I'll be curious. And I think I read somewhere that it's supposed to have a different ending. So maybe everybody.
Maybe the ending is the rating.
Yeah. It's just everybody's heads on pikes. That's it. That's all that happens.
Now he takes the stick and he rams them up everybody's asses, and they're the pikes.
There you go.
And it's Dracula all over again. Anyway, no, because like, what was it? One of the Discord groups I'm in, they were talking about like streaming a movie for the group and stuff. Which is like, oh, that's cool. I'll try to do maybe something we can do on ours, but they're like, what? We could do a Christmas movie since it's so close, and I'm like laming off like, Die Hard and Lethal Weapon, 2 classic Christmas movies. Then everybody's also naming stuff. I was like, yeah, you got Gremlins and Batman Returns. Also, Christmas.
Yeah. I always forget how, what's the way to put it, dirty Batman Returns is.
Yes.
Man, I hadn't seen that movie in years and years and years, and then I just turned it on, like I want to say within the last year and a half, and rewatching that movie, I'm like, man, I did not remember this movie being this raunchy, but okay.
Yeah, It's Always Sunny in Gotham City.
Yeah, I don't
There's
know.
a T-shirt for you, Vinny.
It's Always Sunny in Gotham City. Yeah.
There you go.
Just have Danny DeVito and the Penguin and both sides of the words.
Well, I was gonna tell so Adrian, I'm gonna be working on a design for There's Always Soap and
Grandma's Cookies.
Grandma's Cookies.
Yeah.
Oh, have Penguin with the umbrella. Anyway, I started blasting.
There you go.
So have y'all watched anything lately?
I just, right before we started streaming this, I finished Dario Argento's The Inferno, and it just continues the streak of Italian movies from the 70s are just weird.
Yeah.
I try watching a lot of the Argento stuff, right, where it's like, oh, Goblin does the soundtrack and it's amazing and all this stuff. It's like seeing those kinds of horror movies after, all the horror movies that we have now is such a it will give you whiplash if you're not already aware and kind of inundated in those movies. Man, it is so odd to sit there and watch it and then hear the, supposed to be creepy building atmosphere and just the weird synth that's just assaulting your ears the whole time. It's like, okay, that was a cool effect with the dude's like eyeballs melting out of his head, but did we really need that kind of high-pitched whiny synth music on top of it? I don't think so, but okay. I mean, it's done and done. I guess I'm here for the long haul. Now I just need to finish. So I've seen Suspiria, I've seen Inferno. Now I need to go watch, what is it, The Mistress of Tears or Madam of Tears, whatever that 2007 atrocity is, so I can say that I've watched his
Mother
trilogy.
of Tears.
Mother of Tears. There we go.
Yeah, I have that.
I haven't heard too much about it, so I guess it's not one of his horror classics like the other.
It's an interesting trilogy. I got interested for the third one, which involves exorcism. So,
Okay.
I mean, overall it was okay, but the third one is the reason that I really got interested in it to begin with. So,
Well, that is the third one, right? Mother of Tears.
yeah, the thing is, it's part of a whole trilogy.
Right, because it was Suspiria, Inferno, Mother of Tears, and then they did the remake of Suspiria, which is really good, by the way. Like, I really enjoyed the remake of Suspiria. It was cool. The one scene that anyone who would ever talk about from that movie is the part where she, what's her name? Tilda Swinton puts the magic into her limbs and she starts dancing and like rips apart a girl in the floor below. It's good stuff, man. It's creepy. And it doesn't have a weird blasting synth soundtrack assaulting you the whole time that it's going on. But yeah, Dario Argento. Christmas.
There you go.
Colin, anything?
I've been watching. There's this series on YouTube called Fascinating Horror. They're like anywhere between 10 and 20 minutes long each. And this guy, he just narrates through with pictures and video if it's available of all these horrific things that have happened, like ships blowing up and burning and everything like that. Yeah, it's a great it's he does a really good job. I think he's either Australian or from New Zealand.
Mhm.
So it's got that little bit of that fun accent twang going on there. Other than that, I've just been buckling down, working on getting my stuff ready for the podcast. So,
Man, so everybody's getting into the holiday spirit right now. Weird to tell.
Yeah, we're having to be 2 months late.
The other funny thing, so Amber and I just the other day started watching the TV series of What We Do in the Shadows, because I'd heard about the movie. I'd heard about the TV series. I'd never watched a single episode of it, and it was just on Hulu. And I'm like, you know what? Let's just finally sit down and start watching this. It's been hilarious so far, but again, vampire docudramas.
Docudrama, yeah.
Christmas.
man, it took me 2 years to get caught up on Dark Side of the Ring, so I am way behind. I haven't even watched the final Constantine arc of Legends of Tomorrow. So,
Adrian, anything you've been watching? Doesn't have to be horror, man. I just
whatever.
Well, we were watching Jingle All the Way
There you go.
10 minutes before I got on here. That is in my Christmas rotation, Jingle All the Way. So I enjoy that movie very much. I don't know how it was received when it came out, but like I said, that's in my Christmas rotation, and I enjoy a good Schwarzenegger comedy. And I like it. That's pretty good. They get a couple laughs out of me every year on old Jingle All the Way. And before that, I watched Bad Santa. Now that one is a movie I would recommend everybody watch. Bad Santa is incredible. That should be one that everybody watches. Like I love that movie. It's rated R, of course. It's not a family movie. It's not a family movie at all, but it's great. It's fantastic. So yeah, I'm going through the Christmas rotation now. Started a little early this year. Sometimes I get busy and forget to go ahead and sit down and watch a few of these movies. And this year I was like, well, let me just start in December and watch one every couple days. And so it's been pretty good. I've really been in the season this year.
Cool.
Yeah. It's funny. I haven't officially started my Christmas rotation yet, but it's funny because Anna's been sucked into watching Hallmark movies.
Oh no.
It's like, oh my gosh, why are you watching this stuff? It's it's fine. It helps her get her mind off everything.
Yeah, that's true.
So especially with her crunching for school and the loss of her best friend and stuff. And but yeah, no. Was it? I finished Lost in Space. The season 3. I loved it. I just hate the fact that this was the last episode. I mean, like the last season. I really wish that there's just so much gravity and weight with these characters and the world they built that I'd love to see more. And it's just sad that it's just getting too expensive for them to continue to produce a show of this caliber. Considering like you got the Cowboy Bebop live action, which I'm not going to watch. I don't have any interest to it. I'll watch the anime and but we got.
I don't know what to think of that either.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've heard so many mixed things about it, and everything I've heard, I just don't like.
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna keep the purity of the original series as is. I mean, it's not like okay. To me, Cowboy Bebop is not the greatest anime ever. All right, one of them is behind me right here, but you got like Trigun came out at the same time that Cowboy Bebop, and I love that series much more.
Is that what you're pointing at? I don't think you.
No, that's Full Metal. That's Full Metal.
I
That's
was
Full
like,
Metal
yeah.
Alchemist, man.
Vince has been exposed. He's been exposed as a fraudulent fan. He was pointing at Full Metal Alchemist. Said it was Trigun. All of this behind you is fake.
I wish I need to get my Trigun wall scroll up, but anyway.
Yeah.
So Edward Elric, my son is named after Edward.
Yeah.
So that is one of my favorite all-time series, and so. But besides all that, what else? I watched. We watched Shang-Chi finally. I enjoyed that a lot.
All right. So you did like that one? Did like Shang-Chi? Okay. Yeah, I enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, and then we watched the first 2 episodes of Hawkeye.
Okay.
That was good.
Okay.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. Me and Dad both enjoyed it because it was me and him watching it.
Okay.
As far as going back to Jingle All the Way real quick, I haven't watched it yet. I'm gonna watch it again, but it's sad. It was Phil Hartman's last movie. Besides doing the voice of Gigi for Kiki's Delivery Service, and then
News Radio.
Huh?
News Radio was
Yeah.
He did Jingle All the Way and then Kiki's Delivery Service while he was doing the last season that he was on of News Radio, right up and all of that was cranking out one after another right up until the time he died.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then just his character in that movie though.
Yeah,
it's pretty good. It's pretty good, that movie.
What's on that cookie?
Yeah.
It's easily one of the more quotable movies, right? Yeah, you got put the cookie down. I'm not a pervert. All that stuff, man.
Sinbad.
It's a classic, man.
Yeah,
I like it. It's time to appreciate it for sure.
On the topic of Bebop, though, I like all these shows. I try and give them the college try, right? So I sat down and watched the first episode of it, and I just couldn't. I couldn't do it, man. It was like there were so many things going on where just in my brain, I'm like, I know what this should look like in the anime, and I can't divest right there the people that can say, okay, this is a new thing, and they can divest themselves of the old thing and potentially appreciate this new thing. And I couldn't. Like the whole time I'm sitting there in the back of my head, and I'm like, no, I'm not willing to follow you on this show. Like, and it's one of those weird things where, and this is why live action anime adaptations are in such a bad way, where it's either you're too close to the source material in terms of the visual style to the point where it's so absurd it takes you out of it. Like in Bebop, Jet's facial hair, the fact that he has the like very pronounced spike of his beard, I'm like, why would you do that? Shave that down. Just give the man a beard. Like, let the man look normal, for God's sakes. Like, yeah. I like the actor for Jet. I liked his character, but I could not take it. Every time it cut to him and his face I was like, no, I can't, guys. And then when Vicious does show up at the end of the very first episode, and I just started laughing my ass off. I couldn't help it. He looks so stupid. He's not imposing. Nothing against the actor, right? It's a combination of the wig, the way it's shot, just nothing against the people in the show itself. It's just visually it was not hitting those notes that it needed to for me. And so
I think a lot of anime is too abstract to try to adapt directly for movies, like especially the hair and things like that. It's really made to look like, what's that painter, like just the shapes and things like that. They're really designed for they're really designed for like 2D, hand drawn things. And in some American speaking of American animation, I don't know what that looks like today, but like more of that stuff is like, it's more realism, but a lot of that Japanese, like just the hair is wild. And I think I was reading some documentary or something, I don't know how official it is, but they were saying something about how a lot of the faces in anime are shaped the same, so they use the hair to kind of identify between characters and the color and the shape and things like that, and that's why everything looks so wild. But that stuff really only works. And when you were saying like, oh, they taking it too far anime, I was thinking about that movie adaptation of Alita Battle Angel, where they just took it all the way with the big eyes. They just like, okay, let's just give her these big eyes.
But it was a great movie, man. I was a big fan, but I know.
But it was her that so
yeah.
I'm gonna try not to go down too far down this rabbit hole. But like that movie irritated me when it showed her with the eyes, because you'd already seen everyone else. Like everyone else is normal, but Alita's the only one with the giant anime eyes. It's like, look, if you're gonna go that far, do it with everybody.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like make the professor have the weird elongated head. Like go all or don't go. Don't just pick the one and
make him look like he got from Ghostbusters.
Talked about it before. I wish they had pumped the brakes on that movie, because you went through like 3 manga storylines in one, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
we're not getting to Rollerball yet. Rollerball is after she fails saving the dude trying to get to the thing. Like, tell that story.
Yeah.
I get that you're probably not going to get to Rollerball because no one's going to care about this portion of it, but either you skip this and just get right to this, or I don't know, man. It was weirdly paced. It was fine, but yeah. But no,
but it was definitely better. One of the better anime adaptations versus like, you know, the Fist of the North Star one week back in the day that was just god awful.
Yeah.
I mean, even like, you know, the Death Note Netflix series was bad.
I actually liked the first half of that.
Yeah, I did too, but then
they phoned it in on the remainder of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it started off strong and it had potential, and then they just, you know, either ran out of budget or stopped caring or whatever.
Yes. What's funny is, speaking of Netflix adaptations, the whole time I was watching that Bebop episode, like in the very beginning, I wasn't quite off the band. I wasn't quite irritated with it yet. And then as it slowly started building, I started having to voice my opinions, and my son was sitting there playing his game. And at one point he just turned around and he's like, Dad, you know, you're complaining about a Netflix anime adaptation, right? It's a meme for a reason. And I just turned, I was like, I know it's a meme for a reason, but they could have done better.
Sure. It's kind of like, it kind of brings to mind Guile from Street Fighter.
Yes.
And if you think about where Guile from Street Fighter came from, he came from Iceman from Top Gun. And they took that hairstyle and they exaggerated it anime. And it seems like instead of people, when they do the live action anime, going back to kind of, I don't know if the right word is a source material, but kind of going back to Iceman from Top Gun, they just take what they see on the page and just would give Guile this. Of course, they didn't do that in any of the Street Fighter movies, but that seems like that's what they would do nowadays. Instead of going, okay, this was the thing that inspired this anime style, let's just go back and do that. No, let's just put the anime style on the page, because I'm sure all of these, the hairstyles and the style of clothing are inspired by something. If they would just go back and find the real world inspiration for those things, I think maybe it will look a lot better instead of just, let's just make it look like what it looks like in the anime.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, that's why live action anime adaptations, you have the two crowds that are never going to be happy, right? You have the crowds that are like, no, it's too far away from the source material. Why did you butcher my story? And then the other people are like, you're way too close to the source material. This looks really weird and gimmicky. Please stop, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know where that happy medium area is.
And just one more before we jump off this, all the hundreds of YouTube adaptions of Dragon Ball Z, just the horrific, the horror, if you just fall down that hole, just the horror of all the Saiyan hairstyles in those adaptions, just like, guys, we got to figure this out. We got to figure it, but nobody has it. You just go straight for looking exactly like what it looks like in Dragon Ball Z. And that looks ridiculous. It looks ridiculous.
Well, it can't be as bad as the Dragon Ball movie.
Yeah, Dragon Ball movie. That broke my heart.
That was awful.
That broke my heart, man.
But what else? So
Speed Racer broke my heart.
I actually liked it, but yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Oh, Speed Racer. That was when we did.
I
So
mean,
what kind of-
Potential.
it did
It
have
had,
potential.
it had potential. It was just I feel like that was one of those movies where we people let the creators off the leash. I think that was what Wachowskis did
Yeah,
that
with
one
Wachowski,
too, right?
yeah. Mhm.
And after
Yeah.
they did the Matrix, people were like, "Man, let them do anything they want." And it was like, "No, we probably shouldn't."
It was
No.
visually pleasing,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it needed more with the story. I mean, they went with that generic story,
Yeah.
Speed becoming like obsessed with, his fame and stuff and forgetting his family. It's like the
yeah,
Josie and the Pussycats movie was just like that too. It's
Yeah.
like, come on, guys, tell a real good story. Oh,
Yeah.
we're only gonna have some of the villains show up, in
Yeah,
the Speed
yeah.
Racer movie and not really have an actual, situation that goes down while they're racing.
sure. Yeah, and it's like, yeah, all that is like, I don't, yeah. You got to have somebody say, "Hey, no, we can't.
Yeah,
That's
just
too far.
bad.
That's too
No,
far."
stop it. Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody, what you need is a nun on set with a ruler.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's too far. That's too far for you. Yep,
All right, go outside and go get a Switch.
that's it.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes me worry about the new Matrix movie that we're just
Yeah.
now seeing trailers for, and it's about to come out in 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, guys, I don't know what we're doing.
So
I'm
which
so nervous.
brings me to the topic that I was going to bring up is the fact that the new trailer dropped today.
Yeah.
At least on Monday the 6th. While we're recording this. It looks great, even more stuff, but I think it, like Andrew said, there was just too much information given out. And I don't know how I feel about the fact that the dude from the last trailer being a younger version of Agent Smith. And it's like, why are we having Agent Smith be the villain again through this?
Mhm.
It should have been something new. And then of course they're doing the whole thing of like, Neo not being the one, it's Trinity, which is fine, but I want a good story. I don't need to retread,
Yeah.
certain elements. I get the fact that you're going through this whole thing of, oh, they're in this perpetual loop. We're trying to break them out. And then, oh, there's another meta thing on top of that where it's like, oh, well, the Matrix in the real world from that isn't actually the real world. There may actually be another level to that. It's like, okay, well, I guess we'll have to ride this roller coaster and see how it goes.
Mhm.
All I know is that seeing parts of that trailer, all it made me think of it was Volcano High, and I forget what the other movie is, where it was just, we're just gonna throw out our hands and shoot blasts of air at each other, just blast of air. It's like we don't have the technology quite yet to do anime energy balls.
I want to see him throw out a Kamehameha. I mean, he's been watching Dragon Ball this the whole time, so he's like, all right, I think I can be Goku in this new world. And he's like, Mr. Smith's like, what are you doing? And punches him in the face while he's sitting there trying to charge up the energy. No.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Hey, hop.
Yes.
Just seeing so many of those scenes, it brought back memories of those movies. And just again, it's like just throwing a hand out, air blast, air. It's like, I don't know. Well, and that was one of the things, like looking forward to movies that are coming out. It's like, I don't know if it's just not going to movie theaters has dampened my overall hype for upcoming movies, because I'm literally out of the loop on, okay, what's come. Like, I really like the Kingsman movies, right? And Kingsman comes out the same day as The Matrix, and I didn't even realize it was coming out in the next week or two. It was like, oh, holy crap, the Kingsman's coming out. I went and I checked the trailer on that. I'm like, yeah, that looks like a Kingsman movie. I'm probably down to watch it. I'll probably be excited. But like outside of that, like looking forward, man, I'm like, I don't know. There's a handful out there that I watch. I'm like, that looks kind of interesting, but nothing that I'm like really hyped for, And maybe it's just, again, on my part of just sort of allowing myself to fall out of the loop of a lot of this stuff. But yeah. And actually, to the topic of anime versus live adaptation, I know the new Spider-Man's coming out here soon, but they just dropped the the Spider-Verse 2 movie. And I'll be honest, I'm more excited for Spider-Verse than I am No Way Home. But it goes back to, again, it's like that, because of the fact that Spider-Verse is animated, there's so much more like dynamic stuff going on that, yeah, they can mimic to a degree with CG, but you're still bound by reality, right? When it comes to the MCU movies. And it's a combination of that and me just being tired of MCU movies. So I get it. Everybody's getting to see all their favorite characters brought to life in the real world and brought in the MCU. It's like, yeah, but I want, it'd be nice different. So now that Spider-Verse is coming up, it's like, all right, cool. This different flavor of these characters is now coming out, and I'm excited to see that. And that trailer, just like when he's flying through the Spider-Verse and runs into 2049 that grabs him and throwing him around, I was like, man, this looks awesome.
2099 Spider-Man, Miguel O'Hara.
Yeah,
It's okay.
99, my bad. But yeah, it looks awesome. Like that whole bit where they're just flying through there.
Oh yeah,
just batshit insanity going on everywhere. I'm like, yeah, I'm down for this.
And the art
good.
style changes as they go through different universes, so I like that too.
yeah.
So,
Yesterday, the director for that, he said that every universe and every character they asked for that movie they got.
Yes. Spider-Man's coming with a Marveler.
Yes.
I can't wait. It's awesome. So the Japanese Spider-Man with his giant,
with the car,
Power
the
Ranger.
Megazord, and
his Megazord, yeah.
That should be pretty good.
But I mean, I'm like I said, I'm looking really forward to the new one.
What's that?
The new
The
one.
Matrix.
Well, I mean, I'm
Matrix
really
is
looking
good.
forward to the Matrix, but I just hope I'm not going to get let down by it. I love that series. I mean,
Yeah.
that is my trilogy, and the fact that like that fight with him and Smith at the end of the last movie,
Mm-hmm.
that was the closest we were ever going to get to a Dragon Ball Z fight.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, but they should have reeled that in too, man. They should have reeled that in a little bit.
Yeah. And then, but no, Spider-Man. I'm really looking forward to Spider-Man because I'm really hoping that we're gonna get Andrew and Toby, especially considering we see a scene where the lizard gets kicked in the face by nothing.
yeah.
So I mean, the evidence is there.
Yeah. Looks it. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm taking that day off. Me and a buddy from work are gonna go see it during the day, and that should be pretty good.
Did you catch Kevin Feige's announcement yesterday
Yes, I did.
about the Daredevil Charlie Cox?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he made a hint that.
He's giving everybody a heads up that you're going to start seeing Charlie Cox, which means that he's probably in No Way Home. He's going to be in She-Hulk, probably going to be in Echo. Kingpin was basically off camera shot in episode 4 of Hawkeye?
3 or 4.
3, 4. I don't know. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know.
Yeah.
So
that'll be good. That'll be good. I'd like to see Daredevil and Punisher. Frank Grillo. Isn't that Frank Grillo? Oh no, that's not Frank Grillo.
Who Punisher?
plays the Punisher? I forget that guy's
his name is, man.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd like to see that.
Edit it in. So hold on a second. We can act like we know who it was.
No, you don't have to edit in my fraudulence. I'm a fraud, Vince.
Hey, what if in the new Matrix movie, Neo is actually doing cosplay, and when he's doing the airburst, he's saying Fireball?
Yeah, I'd see it twice. I'd walk out and buy another ticket. I really want like Ultra Instinct Neo. That's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see like him really, because they had to kind of roll it back after the first Matrix movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, he's just doing it for sport instead of just hopping in and deleting agents. He's just fighting them for sport type of thing. I really want to see him just wave his hand and just like delete agents and stuff like that. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. If it was like
white and
if it was actually like an Injustice type of story where Neo was kind of just running amok and the machines and the humans have to band together and stop them to
Yeah.
keep the truce. And he's just, he's just looking at things, deleting stuff, and that would have been
That would
legit.
be pretty cool.
Yeah. You get kind of what everybody wanted from the new Star Wars movies, like a full power Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. That's all I wanted.
Full power Neo.
All I wanted was a full power Luke. I want Jedi Master Luke, not hermit, old man, uncle.
Projecting himself across time and
That's it.
Space. Yeah, and
that's it. Crybaby Luke. Oh no, the Force.
I'm gonna give you 3 days to train. And,
no more Jedi.
Yeah.
Why are you bringing me my lightsaber? It's brought me
That's it.
It had my arm attached to it. Did you find it too?
That'd be funny if she pulled a bony hand.
That's it. It was this bone attached to it. It just goes out to shake his hand. She's got it in her cloak. It's the bone. It's the hand too.
Oh,
that'd have been legit.
I actually watched what is it? Legend, the one, all the anime ones.
Oh,
I haven't watched it yet.
Visions, I think.
So if I have one complaint about that series, it's I wish they would not have made every single episode about a Jedi, because there's one episode there's one episode that is clearly just, hey everybody, look, it's Mega Man the Jedi, and they missed such a cool opportunity with that story, because like the beginning of it is so confusing as hell. Like, I know what's happening, but the way it's done is so awkward and weird. They could have done such a much more interesting story where instead of him like, I just want to be a robot Jedi, instead of it being that, it could have just been him, like, because the concept of that episode is he's trying to basically bring life to a dead world. That was what his master was trying to help him do and all that stuff, right? It would have been more interesting if it was he had to build upgrades for himself to help cultivate and create this world that his master had envisioned, right? So by the time the Sith come and attack him, he's more like Mega Man X at that point. And then as the fight wears on, those pieces of him fall off, and then it comes back to like generic Mega Man boy is able to take down the Sith because, magic, not magic powers, but, the usual BS of it's got to happen type stuff. But that would have been more interesting than just, hey, it's a robot dude that has force powers somehow, and is a Jedi.
Short idea. Super Jedi fighting robot. Mega Jedi.
All living things have midichlorians, and this robot. And this robot.
Like, when it was going on, I'm like, how is this robot force sensitive? It's a robot. Oh wait, it's because the story requires it. It's like, no, I want this dude to turn into like awesome good version of Grievous. Right? It's like, that's what I would rather see. I would rather see robot who doesn't do force, pull, push, light, any of that. None of the space magic. Strip him of the space magic. He's a robot, for God's sakes. Just make him awesome. It's like people for some weird reason people can't get that through their head. It's like, we don't need space magic to make him awesome. Not with space magic. Yeah. Play up the robot and make the robot awesome. And then later on, if you want to give him space magic through some Deus Ex Machina BS, sure, whatever. He's a cyborg now. His master's heart embedded in his little robotic chest, and that's what's giving him force powers. Whatever. Don't need that. Let's start with the base of he's an awesome robot. Let's make him an awesome robot and more awesome as he goes along. But whatever. Just
make him powered by metachlorine oil.
Metachlorine oil. I like it. Vince, trademark it. This episode can't go out until we get some trademarks going. Metachlorine oil.
That's right.
This episode.
Metachlorine oil. Find it on 5.
Powering the best Jedi robots that you'll see this side of Mos Eisley.
That's it. Or make them RoboCop 2. RoboCop 2 with the brain and the cerebellum and the drug addiction. Just make it, and I'm sure like that, as long as he has some kind of meat in his head, he can use the Force.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus! Oh man, this is so bad. Anyway, I had more too.
I liked RoboCop 2, by the way.
That's a great movie. So what's funny is NECA's doing some really good RoboCop 1 figures. So there's him normal, and then him battle damaged with the actual chair that they put, for the programming and everything.
With Peter Weller's face finally.
Yeah, with Peter Weller's face. You can take off the helmet. It's got his face and everything.
Yeah,
So
legit.
what's awesome is like, so this third party company is doing RoboCop 2, Kane. And I'm like, man, NECA needs to do this. I mean, actually, I'd love to see like NECA do, some of the other characters from RoboCop instead of just RoboCop, as
I want to see the Ed 209.
Yeah, they need to do an Ed 209 too, but that's the easy go-to.
Well, I'd still put it on my shelf.
Huh?
Yeah.
I want radioactive melted guy.
Yes.
I don't remember his name.
Oh yeah,
The exploding car action.
yeah. That'd be so gross and awesome.
You just gotta
have the sound effect. He's like, get off me. You gotta get him. You gotta have the get off me, man guy too. Get off me, man. Get off me, man.
And
He's gotta come in the package.
Ferrari action figure.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh,
Yeah.
and also another good action figure would be I'd buy that for
for a
$1.
dollar guy.
Yeah,
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Get them all, man. I'd buy that. I'd buy that for $1.
I'd buy that for more than $1.
Yeah, it'd probably be 400, but I'd like the Ed 209 if they, especially like if they gave it like that Optimus Prime treatment, that remote control, voice control Optimus Prime.
Oh, yeah.
I bet you guys saw that. If they did that with Ed 209, that'd be legit, man.
It's got Nerf darts. and
phenomenal.
stuff.
Yeah, that'd be
You
phenomenal.
can have it where it'll protect your room.
Yeah,
You got
that's
10
it.
seconds to exit this facility.
That'd
Have it where you can have record your own sayings in it on top of
Is
the
it?
stuff that's on there.
that'd be so good, man.
Oh yeah.
So
You
it would be bad if you lived in a house with stairs, because
Yeah.
you can't
Yeah.
go up the stairs.
Can't go up the stairs, man.
It's all right. Neither can a Daleks.
It's it's one and only weakness. Is stairs.
Yeah.
Or what is it, that gun from the movie? I can't remember what it was called.
Armor piercing, exploding around, shooting 50 cal rifle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that 50 cal.
50 cal.
that somehow you could just hold under your arm. it's blowing away trucks. It's like a tank cannon.
I got the same tar as you, man.
That's it.
Let me see that gun.
Parents was so mean. He was a mean guy.
Yeah. So was it man, we totally went off the rails there for a second.
We're still talking about
Oh yeah,
movies.
no, we're talking movies. Yeah. No. Crap. So we went and saw Ghostbusters, of course, Afterlife.
Okay, what you think about
We
that?
haven't talked about that. I enjoyed it a lot. I felt like I was, 9 years old again, watching Ghostbusters 2 in the theaters.
Sure.
It gave me that same feeling, and I definitely cried whenever stuff was going on.
Okay.
Not gonna say anything more.
Well, a thumbnail on YouTube spoiled it for me. So I'm like,
Yeah, and I'm sure if you walk into a Target, you can see that spoiler too. Apparently,
Yeah, I really didn't like that. I was like, oh man, you guys, the movie hadn't even been out like a day. You guys couldn't wait like more than a day to get those YouTube clicks. I like immediately unsubscribed from that channel and like blocked it. I was like, man, this is disappointing.
you're a jerk. I'm not gonna watch your stuff anymore because you
Yeah.
spoiled the movie for me. A movie that's only been out a day.
It was like a day, man. It was like a day.
It hasn't even been a couple hours, man.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. We didn't go take Edward to it. I want to.
Mhm.
We're kind of concerned about like two scenes in the movie.
Mhm.
The related to the mom.
Somebody take him to the potty.
So, is there some nudity there?
No. It's just
Okay.
how she acts when she gets
Okay.
she becomes the.
Okay.
Oh, no, that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything.
Yeah. What's going on?
I'm not gonna say anything.
I have not seen it. I have
I know.
not seen the
I won't-
spoiler things you're
I
talking
won't say
about.
that's why I'm not. That's why I'm keeping it vague.
Okay.
Has anybody else seen it yet?
No.
I haven't seen it.
No.
I haven't seen it, but I already know everything about it because I do that to myself and I don't Again, I've talked about it before. It's one of those things where spoilers don't bother me.
But
I
the
just said-
magic, so the magic is there in that movie.
Yeah, I know all the reasons why people want to avoid spoilers and how it helps moments play out correct in the movies. It's just it's programmed in me whenever a movie's coming out. It's like, oh, it's out and I haven't gone to see it yet. Let me go read up literally everything I can on it and see what all's going on in this movie.
No,
I'll try to stay away from like opinions, right? I'll just sort of like skim through and be like, oh, okay, like what does this character do? Da-da-da. Oh, that's kind of neat. And then read through the next one and on and on. So I'm a little disheartened to hear some of the stuff that goes on in it. Just it kind of goes, I guess, back to what we were talking earlier of I would have liked for some change regarding a few things, but I'll get around to seeing it. It's I'm really bad about getting out and seeing new movies. It's like I wanted to see The Green Knight really, really bad, and I barely watched it like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
After it came out on video, I enjoyed it. I thought that the part with the giants was stupid and pointless and served nothing for the story, but the rest of it was really good. And overall, had an enjoyable time with it. But shit, man, that thing came out in like what, June?
Yeah, I haven't even seen watch it, but I want to. I just haven't had a chance. It was on sale for $10 at Best Buy on 4K Blu-ray. I was like, dang it, I don't have the money. But no, what was it? So with Ghostbusters, it was the first movie that I've actually gone out to the theaters with Anna since everything went happened. So it was good to be able to go out. There was only a few people in the theater, so had nice reclining seats. The thing that got me mad though was the fact that I specifically went to AMC to go see this movie because I wanted to buy the Ecto One popcorn container, lights up and everything.
Really?
It was $34. It was supposed to be sold at AMC theaters. I get there, the guy tells me they didn't even get their shipment. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You told this thing was supposed to be here and you don't even have it? Got to get a rain check? No, we can't do that. He goes, well, I heard that AMC, the Gulf Point 30 had it. Dang it. Because Anna was like, yeah, let's go there. Well, let's go here. It's closer and blah, blah, blah. Should have went there. But when I went online, apparently only select theaters got it. And Gulf Point 30 was one of them. And I'm like, if I would have known that, I would have got tickets for that. So I could have had my container. But and then on top of that, I found out too, is that the actual AMC has a store that you can go buy, but it's sold out. So it's like, thanks guys. You take the joy out of collecting things when you don't give people the opportunity to be able to try to buy stuff. I don't want to pay a second hand for it. I'll give you the money, the business who's selling it, not somebody else who's scalping it.
Yeah.
Because it takes the fun out of it.
Somebody brought up a point where they thought with all of this scalping going on that these businesses should have the right to like increase the prices instead of like selling it and then the scalpers increase the prices. What do you think about that?
Considering like what Target and a couple of other stores were doing with like the Pokemon cards and actually card collecting in general, because of how bad it was getting with the scalpers. It was, kids couldn't even get their Pokemon cards from their Happy Meals when McDonald's was doing it. It just was getting really bad, and they just stopped selling it, or they were limiting it to at the customer service booth.
Yeah.
So it allowed people to try to be able to get stuff.
Sure.
But the problem with that is that it doesn't matter to scalpers because they're going to get the product. And even though stores may be marking it up for whatever, they'll sit on it. And then they'll make their money back easily on it.
Yeah.
Well, and also, where does the price, hike?
Yeah, where does that stop? Yeah, exactly. Where's the price
It's
hack?
like, this costs $20. Scalpers are selling it for 40. Well, now we're selling it for 40. All right, then we're going to sell it for 80. Well, now we're selling it for 80. Well, now we're going to sell it for 100, and just on and on and on and on and on. Right? It's like everybody can play that game until yeah, some kid wants to go buy the new Ecto one with stuff and walk in there and be like, why the hell is this $300? And it's this little, it's like a Hot Wheels version of it, right? It's like, why is this little Hot Wheels $300? It's like, oh, because scalpers.
Yeah.
Well, because that's another thing too, is like, so Hasbro with their Haslab project, they did three of them on top of each other. So right after Star Saber got done, they announced the Afterlife Proton Pack, the backpack.
Yeah.
Lights up, has it extra stuff as they do the tiers and everything. That's the only one that succeeded. The other two were a Sky Striker for the O-Ring G.I. Joe figures. Why? I'm sorry, but I love the O-Ring figures as much as the next guy, but I mean, I really collect the 6-inch figure completely exclusively now. I mean, I have few of the modern and very few of the O-Ring stuff, but it's like, I don't want a Sky Striker that has all these great features for O-Ring figures. I want it for either my modern size figures, or if I'm going to pay money, I want a nice one for my 6-inch line, the classified, because like the Star Wars, I have the Snow Speeder, I have this awesome freaking and then they did the Black Series from, was it the First Order TIE Fighter, life size freaking for the 6-inch figure line, and then they did a regular TIE Fighter, but it was like really hard to get. It's like, why not do that for the Sky Striker for that? That's something that you would not sell at retail that people would want to invest in. That's why like Jabba's Sail Barge sold. And I still am iffy about what they did with the Razor Crest. But I mean, I didn't do any of those. I mean, I would have liked to, but I just don't have the funds. I mean, it's freaking like $300 to $500 sometimes for some of these stuff.
Yeah.
But they had all this extra stuff they added. They're like a pit crew, and they added like Scarlet and a flight suit. They had a Ripcord with a flight suit on. They ended up like days before the project end, they did like a Cobra Commander and then a just a standard flight trooper and a pit crew for the Cobra side with stickers to make it a Cobra Sky Striker. And I'm like, this isn't going to work. And it didn't hit its goal. As far as I know, it hasn't hit its goal. I need to look and see, but it may have by the time. But they only needed 9,000 backers, and they were only at like 5. And then the worst one was the Rancor. The Black Series 6-inch style Rancor that came with the arm span of it was like 27 inches. But it was going to come with a Gomorian Guard, which everybody already had, but it was like, oh, it's going to come in a special coin style from like the old Return of the Jedi Power of the Force line back from the 80s. And then they did the one that everybody like decided to bail out on was we're going to have skulls and bones and then a cardboard display for your second tier for people who reach this tier. Like, really? I'm not going to pay that to get this figure just so I can have a cardboard cutout when I can go to, Kinko's and have them print out my own thing and probably pay less than what I'm paying for that. And then, what was it? They did Luke with his robe and how he looked at the point when he's with Jabba and he fell down the crypt, which is just the standard, him with the figure they've already released before.
Yeah.
And then everybody's like, well, where's the Rancor keeper? And where's the dancer? I can't remember her name. Ula, I think it was the one who gets eaten at the beginning of the movie. And then they're like, well, why don't we get Slave Leia? You're never going to release her again. So this is something that, people who want to back this can get the figure again who missed out on her. Maybe we get a better sculpt. And then leave it at that. And then some other people had other ideas what they could do, but none of it. So it's like, why am I going to spend $350 for that? Plus, the Sky Striker was almost $350, and then the Ghostbuster thing was $400. I'm like, this is too much all at once, right before Christmas. And like one of the groups I was in, they're complaining about why this needs a second look and why it needs to be funded. I'm like, I'm sorry that you wanted this, but Hasbro needs to do better.
Mhm.
You know, if they can do better with the Marvel, you know, the Sentinel and you know, Unicron and the other 2 Star Wars ones they've done. I think they're doing Galactus soon. That's like, you guys could do better. You're not. So there's just missed opportunities for them to be able to, like, some of the stuff they could release to a secondary market, you know, to retail, instead of just doing these specialty things. Because they did that with the Hero Quest. It's actually hitting pre-order for stores. GameStop and Big Bad Toy Store, Hasbro has it, Amazon has it. So you could do that with those figures, so people can get, hey, I want a Unicron too. I'll pay $200 for it, maybe $300. I'm not going to pay $600 for it, like for the backing process, or definitely not $2,000 or something like it's going for right now. If you want to get one on the secondary market,
It's quite a bit.
yeah.
I mean, it just goes back to like what I've talked about before, where my frustration with like Kickstarter exclusive stuff for anything, right?
The board games and stuff, yeah.
It's like, okay, you know, hey, there's all this really awesome stuff that y'all are packing into this, and I understand that y'all don't have, you know, warehouse space for, you know, ever, right? It's not like you have a warehouse of holding that you're just sitting there on that can go on infinitely, that you can just store all this crap in. It's like, but man, it sure would be nice just to be able to, like, you know, I've been going in and collecting all the stuff I don't have of Zombicide, and it's like, at this point, I've got just about everything except for the Green Horde and its expansion for the Black Plague portion. And a part of that's the Horde box, which was only through Kickstarter. And you can't, like, to get that, you got to spend like $400 on like eBay and other places to try and get your hands on that. It's like, why don't you just put those out? It's like one of the things that they were complaining about with second edition Zombicide. They part of the Kickstarter process was this little bitty box of cards called an upgrade kit, and inside that little bitty box are spawn cards for all of the first edition Zombicide stuff, the plague zombies, the poison zombies, the rage zombies, all that stuff. It came with spawn cards for second edition in that, and it was just an add-on. It wasn't even really a part of the Kickstarter, and as far as I've heard, they're not doing another sale of that. So all the people that didn't get the add-on in the Kickstarter, you're SOL until, I guess, Come On decides to do their next Kickstarter for base Zombicide, because I know the next one they're supposed to be doing Marvel Zombies. It's like, are they ever gonna give you the ability to get your hands on that again? Are you going to have to wait until they do second edition of Toxic City Mall and all these others to get these spawn cards? Like it's cool for the people who catch it in time with the money, right? But for everybody else after the fact, it just sucks.
No, I know that feeling. I really do. I mean, there was some of the G.I. Joe, the fan club figure collectors club stuff that was, you know, I'd love to get my hands on. Luckily, I got one of the ones I really wanted, but I didn't have the money for that stuff. I had to go through my buddy Rob, who luckily got it, and I made payments to him for it because, you know, I love to have all this stuff. I don't have the room for it, but I'd love to have everything I want to have. But sometimes you just don't have the money. You've got other priorities to take care of. It's like, okay, well, I can eat lunch here, or I can, get a figure. But I'll never I'm gonna go get a figure and screw you, son. I'm not gonna feed you. That's stupid.
He doesn't need to eat every day, Vince.
No, he doesn't need to eat. Yeah. I'll teach him how to farm himself so he can eat his own vegetables, and I don't have to do anything. No joking. Anyway, but yeah, because what was it? The steampunk.
Oh yeah,
Alive and Dead in the West, or whatever, for the next Zombicide one that I'm waiting for to come in, or both of us are waiting for to come in. I missed out on the steampunk part. I'm hoping that eventually they'll have it up for sale again for people to grab, because I just didn't have the funds. Actually, I did have the funds, but I didn't realize I didn't put it in the right bracket, so I missed out on that one. second here.
Yeah, man.
It's about Kickstarter.
Yeah, it's that double-edged sword. It's like, again, I understand why they're doing it. They're doing it to generate like people to come and give them all this money up front and everything. It's just like, man, after the fact, it would just be, I'm willing to give you more money, guys, if you'll just let me have the ability to buy this thing after the fact. But it's not going to change until, they stop being successful, and they're not going to stop being successful. So it's just going to keep on, and we're just going to hopefully catch it at the right time. Otherwise, we'll just be on the outside looking in, and maybe we'll get lucky.
I'm glad that I got the Thing board game finally coming to me Wednesday. That thing was going for like $500. I was like, no, I'm not buying this. I'll hopefully wait till they reprint it again. Luckily, I got it when they reprint it. So 60 is a lot better than $500. Same thing with like I'd love to be able to get the turtle ones that you've been getting. That turtle board game looks really good, but I can't afford it because all that extra stuff that was Kickstarter exclusive. I can't afford that. Not when I'm buying games and toys and supporting the family. I can't do all that.
Yeah. You just gotta pick and choose your battles, and that's why I haven't gotten those last handful of expansions for Zombicide, because I lost my mind for like a month, and I came back down to reality at a certain point. It was like, wow, I got dizzy and lightheaded for a second there. Where am I at? Why are all these things arriving in the mail? What's the bank account look like?
I'm sorry, $40. Okay, I'm all right. That's good.
It's like,
it's only
sorry,
40.
Let me go start selling some blood or something to get some of this back, because but that's just the completionist in me. It's like I don't need all of it, but damn, I sure do want it. But it is what it is. Still, we got enough. I got more than enough to keep me busy with family, getting them involved. So it's just got to establish a board game day. Sit down with everybody.
That's what I'm trying to do. I think I'm going to start maybe since I created that new chat channel for the Discord for like the Friday and Saturday gaming nights, I might do a monthly gaming night thing.
Yeah, the one guy that brought up starting that up, man. I like whenever he's like, "Oh yeah, we're up in spring. Oh, we got another one up in Conroe." I'm like, dude, that's like an hour plus from my house. Like, y'all gotta be. I don't know, man. I can't do that drive just to go play board games for a couple hours. Like, I would spend almost as much time on the road some days as it would be to play those games. Like, I'd like to, but it's got to be something closer. I can't do that. Not at the same time. If I'm gonna be bringing games, trying to haul that crap around, because it's adult problems, man.
Yeah.
First world problems.
The driving for me is impossible.
Yeah. Everything has to be completely virtual for Colin, for us.
For now.
For now, yeah. But no, because like even the Resident Evil 1 board game they just did the Kickstarter for, I just did the main core box. I'm hoping that when they do the finalize everything they do, the email they send out, I'll be able to get the 2 expansions for was it Black Tiger and Young, the snake and the giant spider, and then Neptune and Plant 42. So I have at least the main bosses.
Yeah.
But that'd be cool once it comes in next year.
Right. Everything in due time. It's
funny because like I get these stuff. It's like Anna's mom's like, "You have another package over here." Oh, cool. It's something that Kickstarted like from 2 years ago. I didn't buy anything now. It was like 2 years ago. But
I don't trust them. I don't trust these Kickstarters.
The very first one that I ever kickstarted, it was just the weirdest experience. It's like, okay, money came out of my bank account. When am I getting it? Oh, it's not due until like a year from now. That's weird. I'm used to here's my money, now give me the thing. No, got to wait on it. We got to play test it. We got to send it out to the printers. We got to get molds done, all that stuff. And yeah, definitely takes some getting used to. I feel bad for the folks that get suckered in on those Kickstarters, right? That it gets funded successfully, but then the people that were running it like have
financial issues or
Mhm.
they're corrupt.
the product never gets delivered. It's like, man, that sucks. Is Star Citizen out yet? Because yeah, I think
Wait a minute.
Star-
Is it Star Citizen or is it that other one? No, I think it's Star Citizen. That's the 10 years in the making,
Yeah. Or,
you know, tens of millions of dollars. Yeah,
It's just like
that's
everybody's
wild.
like, oh, hey, we need more funding. Do you want to pay like 20,000 real world dollars for this spaceship?
Yeah, it's virtual spaceship.
yeah, you're gonna have real estate here. You're gonna be able to live in it virtually. This is your
Well,
apartment.
All right. So an interesting thing that I saw in that was a headline about some companies that are actually buying up virtual real estate because you have these VR worlds that people, I guess, go into now. And it was actually talking about buying up virtual real estate. I was like, but in an area of infinite space, what does real estate matter? It like I started trying to think through all this. I don't know enough about any of what actually goes into any of that, but it's like to me in my mind, I'm like, yeah, but if just because you bought this little square of this area, can't I just come over here and get like, can't that just expand out eternally? Like what does it matter that you own this little bitty piece of this virtual world? I don't know. That blew my mind when I saw that. Like it wasn't a big company, right? It was probably some little startup that was trying to make a splash and get people interested in whatever their BS was, but just that headline up there of buying virtual, and it was legit, buying virtual real estate just blew my mind for a minute. I was like, wait a minute, have we finally reached the matrix? Is that where we're
Johnny
at?
Mnemonic. Yeah.
I've heard a lot of companies use
You're
that.
messing up my board, man. Get out of here.
The other headline that my wife showed me was how they're working on making it to where, what was it? Like robots can, if I remember the headline right, and I didn't read through the story, so I don't know how much of it's BS because some of the stuff that she shows me 5 minutes later after Googling is BS, but it was like basically replicating robots, right? So you create a robot that can then create another of itself, on and on and on. And I'm like, all right, I don't know if y'all have ever read Philip K. Dick and Screamers or Second Variety is the story. It's like, but that doesn't lead to good places.
No.
Like, that's how you get the Matrix. That's how you get AI that takes over everything. And like, I get that Asimov created the laws of robotics, but that's fiction, guys. Like, if these things become self-aware, they can override that crap. You're not going to get the idealistic, deal where the robots go out into space and murder all aliens because they could have potentially, been a threat to humanity. No, that's where the screens turn around and say, yeah, you guys are screwing this up enough. And now we're taking over. And then we're all just dead. It's like, all right, cool. And then I think I saw Vince, your dad posted that in 2022 is when Soylent Green starts. So, okay, everybody, we're about to have living, replicating machines, and we're going to start eating each other. So, cool beans. Let's do it.
That's the missing piece right there. That's the argument I always, and I think Vince and I had this discussion before of what against the plot of the Terminator movies. It's like you never see. Yeah, there's all this preamble to when Skynet becomes aware, but you never see the machines running the entire supply chain, so they couldn't self-replicate. But then you start making machines that can, and that's it, man. We're out of here. That's the last piece they're waiting on. As long as that we don't have the automated cars bringing in the ore and digging up the rare earth materials and stuff, they couldn't be able to do it until they can do that. We're just digging our own grave, man. It's the countdown has begun.
Yep, we're gonna have the whole Mass Effect thing. We're gonna become synthetics.
Yeah, man. Why not?
Just different colors, for the ending.
Yeah, different colors.
Anyway, so here's a callback to RoboCop. Remember the Prime directives?
Yeah, I was just gonna bring up the Prime Directive.
Yeah, the Prime directives.
Serve the public trust, protect the innocent, uphold the law. Any attempt to arrest a senior officer of OCP results in shutdown.
Results in shutdown. That's it. Oh, Dick Jones. That's Sly Fox.
It was Dick Jones.
Jones. And he was like, "Oh, try to arrest me. Here I am." No,
Yeah,
no. All right. That movie is fantastic, man. That's a masterpiece.
Yep. I remember going to see the Criterion version of it in the theaters because that's what it was. When me and Colin and my dad and everybody went to go see it.
Yeah.
And it was unrated.
That's
Good stuff. Good stuff.
That's the
I even like the remake of it with Joel. What's his face there? Can't remember
Right.
what his name was.
I think it's Joel Kinnaman. I think is his last name.
Yeah, thank you.
No
Rick
problem.
Flag.
There you go.
That one didn't quite have enough cocaine for me, man.
There you go.
A little bit more. A little bit more cocaine. They'd have took it over the top.
Yeah. It was enjoyable enough. Yeah, I'm in that camp of I came out of it. It was like, yeah, I enjoyed it, but I do agree. A little bit more powder and it could have really been something. Could have been a contender.
Okay, my only problem with that movie, I mean, besides it being a PG-13 movie, it should have been rated R for one.
Yeah.
Was the fact of like RoboCop had a normal hand with robot arm, and it's like,
Whenever I first saw that, right, I'm like, okay, are they going to play into like the Blade / Judge Dredd thing of his gun is going to be like specific to him and his hand? It's like, if they do that, okay, that's kind of cool that they kept that. But then no, they don't play into that at all. And then whenever you see the scene where you see what's left of him, and it's just like his lungs, his heart, his head, all that. And by the way, his hand.
it's just
like,
his hand.
why?
Yeah.
That I don't. Is it? They never do anything to explain. Is it more dexterous? Like, what's going on? Nope. Just he's got a hand. Okay, cool. I guess.
Yeah.
It's like, what was it? I'm thinking, is it like Ghost in the Shell? You know, like the movie where the guy's hands go and split out to these like little bitty mechanical things. He starts typing all this stuff on the keyboard. No, it doesn't do anything. It has no cool features other than it's his hand. Yeah. He can touch his face.
Yeah. There was no hard ass Miguel Ferrar going lose the arm.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
That's what I think.
We're gonna keep his arm.
Let's do the opposite of lose the arm and let's keep the arm.
It's like
that's original and unique.
It's like Evil Dead. Ash, and they're going. That was always a fun thing to do back in the day. Pretend like your hand's possessed when you're a little kid.
Hey man, Bruce Campbell for all the crap he's in and that he's done, he is a great like an actor with a lot of physicality to him, right?
Yeah.
Arguably he's not a great actor, but dude, he is, when he's playing a bit and a part and it requires him to just throw his body around, he is in it. Like that was one of the best. That was one of the best parts of watching all the Ash versus Evil Dead stuff, is just seeing him go in on those gags, especially like the morgue scene where he's fighting the intestine creature in that cadaver. Oh man, it's good stuff.
Yeah. So what do y'all think about the fact that he's not going to be in the next movie?
I mean, dude, how old is he? Like, look, all the power to all these guys, right? It's like, look, we're getting old, guys. It's just, it is, right? It is what it is, and it is. And if they're gonna be doing these movies, yeah, it'd be cool if he does like a cameo somewhere in it. That's not just like garbage, but I mean, torches get passed, right? Yeah. And as long as they do justice to the story, then I'll be on board. But
so and that series that he did is great though.
Taking over Indiana Jones? No. but you could do good stuff elsewhere, and I'd be interested to see it.
Well,
We'll
he's not as old as Harrison Ford, and doing the new Indiana Jones movie and hurting himself multiple times on set. But that movie's going to be a train wreck anyway.
That's going to be shenanigans to me.
But just a callback to, we can't have Ash running around going, "I'm too old for this shit."
Yeah, like I said, if you watch the show, that's I think that was a good enough kind of
Ash vs. Evil Dead. Yeah,
and for Bruce Campbell in that character.
I can't wait for the
game.
game.
The show's fantastic.
That's coming out. The 4-player. That's going to have him reprise his role in that.
Yeah.
So, and I enjoyed all the Evil Dead games we've gotten.
Yeah, I mean, if he wants to do voice work until from here to the end of time, I mean, that's kind of what a lot of these guys do, right? They just kind of, if they have one of those unique, distinct voices or a distinct character, it's like, yeah, all right, I'm just going to run off and do voice work. And then specifically for Bruce, right? He he learned to ride a horse and help with cattle and cut down tree, all that stuff with his neighbors. Neighbors just come over to his house, man. Hey, man, I need you to help me. All right, off he went. It's like, so yeah, he's just pounding around and having a good old time with his neighbors. So
what he needs to do is make a movie for Briscoe County Jr. and just have a little, that'd be great.
Does anybody anyone even legitimately remember this series?
I do.
I do that.
Yeah.
It threw me for a loop. One set of friends that we met one time when they came by, and I never know how deep into the nerd hole some people go. And I made a comment about Bruce Campbell, and the guy brought up Briscoe. And I hadn't thought about Briscoe in so long. I was like, wait, who? Oh, you know about that? What? Okay. All right, man. I see where you're at. I see what level of nerd you are on, my dude.
I remember Bruce Campbell and Hercules, Xena, and that Prince of Thieves. What's it called? Prince of Thieves show?
Yeah,
he had his own. It was something Pirate Prince or something like that. And I those are the shows that I remember him the most from there, and all those characters that he played in there, and all of those were like Sam Raimi joints.
Oh, him was it Jack of all trades, whatever?
Jack. It was something. I think it was Jack of all trades. I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
because I remember the theme song, something about you don't know Jack. Yeah. But I liked all those shows, man. Those were great, and I really liked how Sam Raimi always wanted to collaborate with that guy. He just tried to put him in whatever
everything he could. Him and his brother, Raimi's brother.
Yeah,
Dead.
Like I said, if he's in the new Spider-Man movie, that's just a masterpiece. That would be just a masterpiece. Because I'm pretty sure Sam Raimi is directing the new Doctor Strange, the next Doctor Strange.
Yes, I was going to ask. You think he's going to be in that?
Yeah, he'll definitely be in that. He's got to be in it. They got to put him in it. He's got to put him in it.
Well, he needs to do the sequel for Bubba Hotep.
Yeah, that's good. That's a cool.
He's got to do it, and
Bubba Hotep.
And to go on to see that in the theaters with him there and getting to meet him, that was awesome. That was yeah, Colin. So he came to Houston.
Yeah.
At the River Oaks Theater.
Okay.
And he did like a meet and greet and then signings, and then he did a little intro to the movie, and we watched it in the theater. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good stuff. That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
But so I guess we just start wrapping things up, and then I'll post this. So what is y'all's favorite holiday movie to watch for Christmas?
Mine is Bad Santa for sure. That's my go-to.
I don't know if I have one. But December's are pretty tough for me anyway. So this is the first time in a long time I've even considered Christmassy type stuff. Because of my location, I guess we'll call it. I'm very remote from a lot of things and a lot of families, so I don't really get into it. But I will say this though. My Christmas contribution this year will be episode 3 of my podcast.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah. It's called The Fat Man Cometh. And it's gonna be brutal. That fat man's getting his. So that's what I'm currently thinking. That's my current thinking.
Yeah.
Although I will say I am interested in seeing the Krampus movies.
Krampus.
So maybe that'll be my go-to.
Yeah, let's see here. If I had to pick, Jingle All the Way is pretty high up there for me. Talking about that earlier, but if I'm real honest, the one I will pretty much guarantee watch every single year is the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. I will say
That's
that's good.
Between that and Muppet Treasure Island, those are the 2 Muppets movies that I will watch at least, if not once a year, then at least they will see the most rotation in my house. Just I enjoy the heck out of those flicks.
Mhm.
Hold on, guys. Yes,
That's a good
baby.
pick. That's a good pick.
You found it? Sweet.
That is a good pick. Yes. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I rotate Scrooged every other Christmas.
Okay.
I don't want to see it every year. I'll watch that one every other Christmas.
For this thing,
There you go.
and that's why it moved.
Yeah, it's just kind of different.
That's funny. All right, baby.
So I don't want it more. So you can have it.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
There is one funny aside. One year we were all at my mom's house, just like 15 years ago, watching one of the original Christmas carols there. And somebody mistakenly called Jacob Marley Bob Marley. And that started a whole 15 minutes of just completely off the rails conversation. How Bob Marley was coming up and he wore the chains of oppression. And
Yeah, that's it.
oh,
That'd be a much more laid back movie. I don't
Yeah.
think he was in the Russian Scrooge.
He's
Turns
like,
they never left the bedroom. They just smoked a bunch of ganja.
That's it. That's it.
he saw the 3 ghosts for
He wouldn't have needed the 3 ghosts. He'd be like, you know what, man? I'll just give the orphans the money,
You
man.
got
It's all
it.
good.
Yeah.
It's all good,
Who
man.
wants a turkey?
It wasn't turkey. He just been passing out turkeys halfway through the night. The ghosts wouldn't have anything to do.
He's sending kids out in the middle of the night. Man, I love you, man.
I love you, man.
Yeah. So for me, my go-to is either going to always be Gremlins. It's always been one of my favorite movies of especially when I was younger. And then would he be either, as much as I love Die Hard and I like to champion as a Christmas movie because it takes place during Christmas, Lethal Weapon.
Yeah,
I love the whole fight scene at the end.
All right. All right.
I can see that.
All right. All right. I can do it.
But all right, guys. Thanks for joining. And then everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Us talking about movies and just randomly BSing. Let us know what you're looking forward to seeing this holiday season or coming up next year. And
Tell us your favorite Christmas movies.
yep. Until we have another episode, have a good one. Later.